Well, I was out here working in the garden today and pulling up some grass where we're pulling up some of the plants and the crops as we're closing down this thing for the year. And I realized, oh, it's time to do a September, I don't even call it a garden tour anymore, but a September update on where we are. And I happened to notice how these flowers look so good from across the garden over there. So I thought I'd come over here and just sit down among them and have a talk with you and just let you know kind of where we are and what's going on, and just introduce this segment of the video and just show you where we are with the garden for September and some of the things that I've been trying to get wrapped up, cleaned up. I've got a couple of things still growing. We'll talk about those, and then we'll go from there. So hang in there. I'll be right back in just a second. I figured a good thing to start with this time is here's just pretty well an overview of what's going on overall in the garden anyway. Right down front right here you'll see my fall planting of squash. I'm still waiting on something. I haven't picked any yet, but I think I've got one or two ready today. I also got squash borers got in here already. So they're hitting it pretty hard. I planted 6 and I've got 4 plants left. They've gotten 2, and I see this one right here in the front is already starting to die around the base a bit, so I'm sure they're in that too. Maybe I'll get a couple of squash for a good stir-fry meal one night, and that'll take care of that. So while we're looking at this row, we'll just go ahead and jump right over here to the okra. Yes, I'm still picking okra. And I had a friend of mine that came by the other day, and we picked 50 pods of okra off of these 2 rows. There's the other row down there. Waited 2 days, came back, and we picked 100. So this thing is just thriving even without a lot of rain. But yeah, this okra is about the biggest thing I got going right now as far as picking any crops. Old Tex over there just hanging out and taking life easy, so that's about it for him. But anyway, the okra's looking pretty decent, and of course the flowers over there, I appreciate those flowers. I really do. So as we looked at those things that are still growing over there, here is the my lima beans that I planted. What did come up, about half of them came up. So I don't know what happened. They just did not germinate over here on this side for some reason. But anyway, these are starting to bloom. So I may get a good crop off of that for at least one meal. And again, like I said, old Tex over there, he's just kind of hanging out and checking out things, and that's it. But that's pretty well actually a good overview of the whole place right now, as far as what's planted and growing. And as we're talking about what's still growing, my figs, this fig tree right here has really been showing out. Ever since the end of August, it spent the end of July, it spent the whole month of August producing figs. And this is just about winding down, I think. There's a few green ones still on here. Here's one that's getting ripe. May take that one off today, I don't know. But anyway, it's been doing great. I've done some fig preserves off of it, or fig jam I like to say, but it's been very well. And my other one out by the gate is doing just as well, just they're not as big, but they're still producing as well. So we're still eating figs along with the okra. That's about all we're getting out of here right now. Well, except for one more thing. And one more thing that we're picking and eating on a regular basis are my muscadines. You can see this is a prime example of what I'm seeing all down through the vines. And they're producing very, very well. And they're just very enjoyable. I've been eating them, snacking on them, and we're at the point now we're going to probably pick what's left, or pick pretty hard out here, and try making us some muscadine jelly. We'll see how that goes. One other thing that's still growing and hopefully still producing are these 4 boxes of raised beds here. There's two down there of my sweet potatoes. They're looking great. They've been growing well. They've got runners all over the place. In fact, this one's run over out of the box and heading on down the other side over here. But I'll be digging those up. I think the 14th of September will be 90 days. I've had them in the boxes. So we'll keep an eye on that here the next few weeks and see how we're going to do on that. And I'll have more on another video when we get ready for harvesting those. I'm going to switch gears right now. Here's some other things I'm working on, and one is cleaning up and getting cleaning up the old garden. And having this woven weed fabric down is absolutely wonderful in my way of thinking. I don't like weeding, and here is where my tomatoes were growing, and they've all been harvested and pulled up. I've still got to get the trellis out of here, so that's still a to-do. But you see, even with these 4 rows and the pieces of fabric that's down there, between the okra and the flowers over there, there's not hardly any grass at all. Now, I don't want to mislead you. If we walk right on over here, this was a bed of my peas that I had pulled up, and that's what it looks like after I clean it up. They do get grass coming up in those holes, and I do have to do that. But that's not a weed near as hard as trying to keep that whole garden weeded and all the walkways cleaned out and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll sacrifice that a little bit for that. And today, I guess as soon as I turn this camera off and stop filming today, one task is picking this okra. I'll get that taken care of, as you can see there. But also, I'll start working in these flowers, and I'm going to start collecting seeds and try to get some of those put back and dried for during the winter time, so that I can have seeds again next year from these same flowers. These things are still loaded with pollinators. I just saw 2 hummingbirds just as I walked over this way. There goes a nice butterfly. But as I was talking about weeds that come up through the holes, I haven't worked this side of the garden yet. So this bed right here, you can see these are some where I had old flowers planted last year. So they come up through these holes in this fabric, and there's still just a few popping up, and I'll get those out of there. And but other than that, there's not a lot. There's a clump of grass right there, but for the most part, this stuff does a good job keeping the grass out of it. And there'll be more on that as I go here in the next few weeks. I'll be pulling up this fabric that's got the planting holes in it and putting that in my storage shop, and then I'll have more to explain about that as we go on. But this is just work I'm trying to get ready to get done here as we're wrapping up for the fall, and getting things ready for the season to be over. Well, I think that's just about an update on really where I'm at with this thing for the month of September. I've got some cleanup to do as we just talked about and I showed you. So I thought it'd be a good place just to, since I started this segment with the flowers, I'll end it with the flowers as well. That's about the one consistent thing I've got going on right now. But yeah, it's going to be a busy month as we get this thing closed out, wrapped up. But I appreciate all of you hanging in there with me. And certainly, if you got some comments or questions or anything you want to see, ask about. If I forgot to tell you about something that we've been talking about all season, but I think I covered all the crops I've got. And we'll just see how it goes. And I will give a wrap up in the next video probably or two on how we actually did, excuse me, how we actually did for this season as far as how much produce and how many pounds we had and this and that and the other. I do keep track of that, so I can give you an update on how we did on that, and that'll be coming up shortly. But in the meantime, like I said, I appreciate each one of you watching, and I'm gonna head out to that porch swing here in just a minute as soon as I get that okra harvested, and take a break, sit down and have a Diet Coke or a glass of sweet tea, and kind of contemplate the rest of my day. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.